Fear warning, what you're about to hear is one of the most shocking and frankly stupid points made by Cenk Ugyr regarding the Israel-Hamas war. He likens Jews to Nazis and compares Hamas to French resistance fighters. Check out this clip, really disturbing.
Israelis, I'm begging you to stop being so brutal, stop being the thing that you hated. Stop being the thing that oppressed you in the first place. These Palestinians are not Nazis. You're fighting a ghost. No, the people who are being the fascists here, I hate to do this because it's breaking my heart and it should break your heart. You're being the fascists. You're the ones slaughtering their civilians. Look, how do you look at those children being starved to death in northern Gaza and not see Jewish children in Germany in the 1930s and 40s? How do you not see that? It's the same exact image. Snap out of it.
Oh, but Cenk,
stop being the thing that you hated.
All right, Cenk, before I go to Mossad for a response, how do you not see, conversely, that what happened on October the 7th was to Jewish people not dissimilar to what the Nazis did to them in World War II? How do you not see that parallel?
No, it is not similar at all.
It is.
At all, Piers.
It is.
No,
it's a group
Piers,
wedded to the destruction of all
it's
Jewish...
insanity.
Let me finish
Stop
my
saying
question.
The same things.
It is a group wedded, in the case of the Nazis, to the eradication of all Jewish people, as indeed are Hamas. What's the difference?
Okay, this is a convenient talking point to justify...
What's the difference?
Actually preventing the Palestinians from existing.
Tell me the moral difference.
What is wrong with you people?
Tell me the moral difference.
In reality... So, yes, of course I'll tell you the difference. So what they did on October 7th was terrible. I hate any civilians being killed. I hate terrorism. That is why Netanyahu is an awful, disgusting terrorist. He's killed 30 to 40 times the number of civilians that Sinwar did. What an awful, despicable terrorist he is. So now guys, October 7th can be terrible, but at the same time you can acknowledge the power dynamic of who is stronger and who is not. Why does that make a difference? Because the Nazis were the more powerful force. They had every ability to wipe out the Jews, and they tried. The powerful force, Goliath, the Nazis were horrible for what they did to the Jews. When the French resistance fought back and killed German civilians, it might have been the wrong strategy. It might have been immoral to kill German civilians. But the French resistance was not, oh, they're trying to wipe out Germans from existence, so the French resistance is bad. They should surrender to the Nazis. No, they were the powerless. The powerless always do ineffective violence that we call terrorism. And then to say, no, it's their fault that the powerless are going to somehow wipe out the powerful. No, you're framing it in a way that is totally hypothetical and theoretical because you want to avoid the reality of what is actually happening in the world, which is the Israelis wiping out the Palestinians, slaughtering them, tens of thousands
All right, let
at
me
a
bring
time,
in Mossad.
taking their land.
Back.
So let's break down his points. He says Jews are Nazis. They're starving the Palestinians. They're wiping them out. Thousands of them.
You're being the fascists. You're the ones slaughtering their civilians. Look, how do you look at those children being starved to death in northern Gaza and not see Jewish children in Germany in the 1930s and 40s? How do you not see that?
And yet, I happened upon this video earlier today. This is a video of Israeli soldiers feeding Palestinians. Giving them food, water, medical supplies, providing them with exactly what is needed for them to survive. Bear in mind, these same people who are avowed to Israel's destruction, or many of them are avowed to Israel's destruction, are being supplied with food, with water, with medical supplies, safe zones, endless warnings, endless leaflets, thousands of pounds of aid, thousands of trucks entering Gaza day in and day out. And yet he claims that Israel is committing a genocide, that Israel is preventing, starving these Gazans. And on that note, I happened upon another video. He says that the Palestinians hate Jews and hate the Israelis, and they became embittered over this war. And yet, here's a Gazan man with his family praising Israel and wishing them a happy holiday, happy Sukkot.
חורף يعني עוד מעט יורד גשם במצב של אצלנו יהיה מאוד קשה ואני מבקש נתפלל ביחד ויהיה שלום ושקט בינינו דרישת שלום מכל אזרחי מדינת עזה ואנחנו עם הילדים הללו רוצים מכם עזרה אם אתם רוצים יהודים ערבים 48 וגם נוצרים וגם רוסים וגם כל מיני הדתות שנמצאים בארץ ישראל. אחלה שלום. 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 שלום.
The basic message of that video was him referring to his tent as a sukkah, which is a basically a Jewish tent for the holiday of Sukkot, and calling for shalom, calling for peace with the Israelis. So maybe he's wrong about the fact that all Gazans hate Jews and that Israel is committing a genocide against these Gazans. And another point he makes is that it was insignificant what Hamas did to Israel on October 7th. Terrorism is insignificant.
October 7th can be terrible, but at the same time, you can acknowledge the power dynamic of who is stronger and who is not. Why does that make a difference? Because the Nazis were the more powerful force. They had every ability to wipe out the Jews, and they tried. The powerful force, Goliath, the Nazis were horrible for what they did to the Jews. When the French resistance fought back and killed German civilians, it might have been the wrong strategy. It might have been immoral to kill German civilians. But the French resistance was not, oh, they're trying to wipe out Germans from existence, so the French resistance is bad, they should surrender to the Nazis. No, they were the powerless. The powerless always do ineffective violence that we call terrorism.
But it's very significant to many Israelis. And this story specifically really, really hurt me. Shirel Golan survived the Nova Music Festival massacre, where she witnessed terrible atrocities, and yet she took her own life yesterday, unable to live with the trauma. She was only 22 years old. And that's not all. There are countless stories. Not only the pain that was caused on that day, and the tragedy and the amount of death, but the endless scarring, the endless pain that Israelis will face afterwards. And then there's the proportionality argument that he tries to make, that Israel has killed many more civilians than Hamas.
What they did on October 7th was terrible. I hate any civilians being killed. I hate terrorism. That is why Netanyahu is an awful, disgusting terrorist. He's killed 30 to 40 times the number of civilians that Sinwar did. What an awful, despicable terrorist he is.
But what he doesn't understand, that in a war, civilians die. And it's not important how many. It's important why. It's important the motivation. It's important, is it a just war? Hamas attacked on October 7th simply to kill Jews. The motivation was purely genocidal. Israel, on the other hand, is fighting to get back the hostages, still 101 remaining in Gaza, as well as destroy Hamas in order to avoid another war. Israel is the only one being condemned by the world right now because sick, demented human beings like Cenk Ugyr use its own morality, Israel's own morality, the only democracy in the Middle East, the only one that actually reports when it messes up, the only one that actually tries to avoid civilian casualties as much as possible, with a civilian casualty to combatant ratio of 2-1, about 4 times better than the average of 9-1. That statistic alone should destroy the argument of a supposed genocide. And when sick characters like Cenk Ugyr open their mouths, they just expose the absolute hatred, vitriol, and hatred they have towards Israel and the Jewish people. For more, subscribe to this channel. If you want to help us make more of these videos, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored.
We're the most powerful nation, supplying billions of dollars to a country that is waging genocide.
To all those that claim that Israel is committing a genocide, do you even know what the definition of a genocide is? Geno means race and side means kill. To mass kill a race. Why are millions of Palestinians living in Israel freely if Israel is trying to commit a genocide? Don't you think they would start with them? Why does Israel warn civilians in Gaza before bombing them? Why does it orchestrate safe passages in order for them to escape the bombs? Why does it orchestrate food, water, and medical supplies into Gaza on a daily basis? That would be pretty counterintuitive if they were trying to commit a genocide. Why are there even foot soldiers in Gaza when Israel can easily level Gaza with a few airstrikes? The number one thing you have to look at when it comes to genocide is intent. Do they intend specifically to kill and target civilians? Do they intend specifically to kill all Arabs? If that's not the case, then there's no genocide.
To anyone with half a brain, that they are committing genocide.
To those that say that it's a genocide or Israel is committing another Holocaust, can you explain this for me? So Jews lost 66% of its European population from 1940 to 1945 during the Holocaust. And between 2019 and 2024, the Palestinian population grew from 4.6 million to 5.5 million. Can you spot the difference? One goes down and one goes up. Now, why do you think that is? Maybe, just maybe, it's because Israel is not committing a genocide.